On February the 11th, British media companies We Are Social and Hootsuite released their Digital 2021, the latest insights into the state of digital report. It details the research into social media usage patterns in several countries, including Indonesia. 170 million of Indonesians are active social media users, equivalent to 61.8% of the country's population. It's an increase of 10 million or 6.3% from the previous year. As for the world, per January, 4.2 billion people are active social media users, some 53.6% of the global population. It's an increase of 13.2% or 490 million. Northern and Western Europe saw the largest concentration of these users. The report also showed Facebook as the most used social media platform as of January, with YouTube and WhatsApp following behind it. The company recently rebranded its parent company as Meta, with all the pros and cons surrounding the new identity.
All right, as we saw there, we learned through that video that Facebook remains the most used social media in the world, with its sister platform, WhatsApp, in third place.
Correct. And by the way, are you still a Facebook user, Shanaz?
I think I'm still a Facebook regular. I check at least once a day.
Once a day.
Once a day. How about you?
You're like old school, right?
Old school,
With the advance of like TikTok, Instagram, you're not just Facebook.
But I'm not a dancer, Dirza, so I don't think I will be a TikTok user. How about you?
No, but to be honest, Facebook communities are very, very tight. I
Yeah.
mean, I still log on to the forums, to the groups as well. I mean, they're very informative, and old school generations like you and me, they're still there.
Are we considered old school?
Kind of old at hearts, baby. Old at hearts. We're just
okay.
practical. By the way, but during the recent Connect 2021 Facebook conference, CEO Mark Zuckerberg introduced Meta. Meta is a significant rebranding that brings together all the Facebook apps and technologies under one new company brand. The focus will be to bring the metaverse, as they say, to life. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg introduced the Meta at the recent Connect 2021 Facebook conference. I mean, it is no ordinary concept,
Yes.
right? As Meta is a significant rebranding that brings together all the apps and all that.
Yeah.
And now we have our guest.
It is.
Yes.
We'll discuss this bold move with Amrish Chaudhry. He is the Super Union Southeast Asia Managing Strategy Director. Hello. Hi, Amrish. Are you with us?
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining
Hi,
us.
Ambrish.
Selamat pagi. Thank you for having me.
Selamat pagi.
pagi.
And Ambrish is connected to us from Singapore, right, Ambrish?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Ambrish, first things first. The name Meta, along with its logo, has been used before by another company. Why do you think Facebook made this move?
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that they've obviously looked at all trademarks before coming out and quite clearly saying that they want to own the name Meta. When it comes to design and logo identities, honestly, it's really, really tough to get something that is 100% unique and hasn't been used in the past, given that the internet now houses everything and image search is becoming a possibility. So it becomes quite obvious that some other company, some small company in some hinterland may well own the logo, but I'm sure the lawyers at Facebook would have done a strong trademark check before they came out and used the names so openly.
Well, Ambrish, from a legal perspective, I'm pretty sure with all the lawyers it's fine. But from an ethical branding perspective, will it have any impact on them?
I think less so around how unique they are. I think maybe I should just break down the three aspects that go into sort of creating a great brand identity and a strong branding project, right? So there are three things. One is very much, and we're very lucky at Super Union because we get to work across various kinds of branding projects, right? So from the very small and evolutionary to the complete rebrands, etc. And every rebrand is a company or an organization talking about some change in its business, right? And a change in the way it views the world. So the three aspects to look out for is really the business ambition. Is there a really strong explanation of the business strategy and the business ambition? The second aspect is really around the current brand equity. Is the rejuvenation or the brand rebranding happening from a place of strength, or is it trying to cover up some areas that may well be in the consumer's views at the moment? And the third area is just how well you tell your story. So how clear is it? How truly unique is it? And how authentic is it? So if I were to look at the Meta rebrand, I think let's start with the good things first. Facebook is a massive juggernaut. You just showed some numbers around how social media figures in Indonesia just keep increasing. That's pretty much the case around the world. Like with Instagram, with WhatsApp, and with Facebook. Of course, Facebook really do own the social media space quite strongly. So it's no surprise that if a company like that would want to come up and talk about the ambition of really shaping the metaverse. Of course, they have a big role to play in shaping the metaverse because they've had a big role to play in the way we use the internet today, right? So from that perspective, them going with a slightly generic name like Meta is no bad thing, because what they're saying is, as a leader in the space, they're staking their claim, right? Now, it would have been good if they had some amount of existing proof points. I mean, they've obviously been investing in Oculus, and they've had other few investments around the metaverse, but none of it is stuff that you already see out there, or even gives you a sense of the shape that the metaverse might take. So yeah, you could argue that perhaps the timing wasn't the best in terms of them having some strong proof points. When it comes to the second space, right, which is around, is the current equity strong? Is this coming from a place of strength, or is this perhaps coming from managing some of the negatives around the Facebook brand? I think that gives you pause as well, because the timing of this is suspiciously close to sort of the whistleblower controversy, etc. So the timing and also not having enough proof points gives one pause.
Okay.
And again, right, just that. Yeah, please go ahead.
Ambrish, you mentioned about the timing, and also people are being very skeptical about this rebranding. But what is the risk that Facebook actually take with this rebranding, knowing that it's already the top of mind of people's when people search in social media? What is the risk that Facebook take with this step?
I don't think there is much of a risk, because what they're setting this up to be is a holding company, right? I think the biggest risk they took was when they rebranded a few months ago with the capital Facebook sort of identity becoming the corporate brand identity. That was a big risk, because in some senses, as much as they were expecting the positivity around Instagram and WhatsApp to impact the Facebook brand itself, I think the impact has almost been the negative, right? Like having WhatsApp too closely linked to Facebook, or having Instagram too closely linked to Facebook, for a couple of reasons. Of course, for data reasons, and consumers don't want to be reminded that the back end of all of these apps is the same, so their data is probably being shared. And given the fact that as you guys were just discussing before we started off, even the question of, do you still use Facebook is an increasingly common question. So it isn't the high momentum brand for young people, right? So with that, I think when they link those apps too closely to Facebook, they probably saw a bit of a downfall in the equity of those apps. So I think with that in mind, Meta is a strong thought to differentiate the apps and keep Facebook away from Instagram and WhatsApp, and hence have the holding company. Now, Now, the idea for Meta isn't for it to be a consumer brand facing, or like all of us knowing about Meta, throughout and engaging with Meta. Of course, Facebook's popularity and the extent and the fact that it touches over 2 billion lives every day makes Meta a household name. But if you see, it's exactly what Google did with Alphabet. And they created a bit of a holding company. Now, the holding company is very much for investors and employees in some ways, to sort of make sure that the mainstream businesses are quite separate from the other businesses. So similarly, I think Facebook, the risk is in fact quite mitigated actually, because the biggest challenge is to keep all their apps separate. And I think Mark has come out with a statement acknowledging exactly that. So the missteps they made a few months ago by bringing these apps closer, I think they're addressing that now.
Well, from what I get, so Facebook is trying to differentiate their target market now. Is that correct? So who are their target market going to be? Is it Gen Z or those below that?
I mean, so the one thing we've seen, right, is how much the target markets for these social media apps start to change over time. So Facebook started off targeting university students and was very much the youth app. And now, of course, all the kids find their parents and grandparents on the app itself. So these things become very popular. There is no saying what shape the metaverse might take, or whether of course it might be started by younger generations and they might get more involved, but the chances are it will touch most of our lives in our lifetime. So I think as a holding company, perhaps, given that they're one of the few businesses that can touch 2 billion lives, I think the intent would be to really have a significant stake in the metaverse and impact as many lives as possible through it. It's just that the different apps will have different roles within it.
Okay, Ambrish. And also, one thing that I really want to know, in your opinion, which company will be Facebook's biggest competitor after this rebranding?
Yeah, I think obviously in some senses, like we know the impact that Apple has with their privacy settings on Facebook, and that's been a big thing. We know that Google has massive plans as well, and as does Amazon. So again, the metaverse is up for the taking, right? And there are lots of businesses sitting on significant resources that would want to get involved. But I suspect that the real competitor for Facebook is a small startup company we wouldn't have even heard of yet, which is working very hard on really understanding the metaverse and what people would be looking for from it. And I think that's probably what keeps Mark Zuckerberg up at night, is where the next big nimble player is going to start emerging from.
Well, Ambrish, I want to talk back regarding Facebook's less than stellar track record when it comes to data and security breach. So, do you think this could be a move from them to distance themselves from that?
Yeah, yeah. I guess if you were to take a slightly skeptical view around some of this, you could well say that perhaps it is to create a little bit of distance between their other apps, and also for employees, right? I think for people to say, "Hey, I work for Meta" versus "I work for Facebook" is slightly different, right? Like I suspect saying "I work for Facebook" isn't the most pleasant conversation currently. But look, most corporate companies go through these ups and downs. There are times when they're literally the darlings of the consumers and the investment community, and there are times where they do take a hit, and their image and perception takes a hit. What matters is how seriously they take all of this, how strongly they they address it and come back right out, and make genuine change. And I think that's where the idea of having Meta is great, but the fact is it must be followed up with significant action, right? Action in terms of innovation in the metaverse to bring alive the promise of Meta, and B, also action around the entire security data breaches, the way they've been playing a bit fast and loose with all of our data. They've got to address all of that. It's not going to be swept away under the carpet just because they now have a new holding company.
Okay.
Well, let's move away from the tense conversation. We're going to play a bit of quiz now with you. Well, to prove the power of branding, I'm going to ask Amrish to guess some brand names from a part of their logo. Well, just for fun.
Okay.
Okay, this is our first logo.
Okay, let's check it out.
Should I be nervous now?
Nah, come on.
Oh, this is so easy.
Yeah, of course, we've been talking about this. So this is also recency bias. That's Facebook.
Correct.
That's correct. Okay.
First one. Easiest.
Okay, the easiest one. Okay, let's move on to our second guess, a second quiz of the day. Okay. This.
Wow, you're making me hungry for some breakfast now with McDonald's.
Amazing.
Of course, it's McDonald's. Okay. And our third question would be this one.
Yeah, and this shows just how strong brands are really strong. So that's obviously Starbucks, but it shows you how much they concentrate on getting the brand assets right and consistent every time, so that you can guess.
This is too easy for Amrish.
We need something local, I think.
Of course. Okay, on to our fourth question.
Yes, that's obviously Toyota.
That's a Toyota.
You guys have gone easy on me.
Come on, producers.
Okay, and this one? Oh.
Louis Vuitton, yeah.
Louis
I know this
Vuitton.
brand far too well.
Okay.
We need something harder.
We need something hard. So, okay, our next question would be, what kind of aspects are taken into consideration, actually, Amrish, before a company do a rebrand?
Yeah, I think the strongest rebrands, right, or even the strongest branding activities are about really telling an authentic, genuine story. Something you truly believe in, the impact that you're looking to create in the world and in your customers' lives. I think getting that story absolutely right and staying true to who you want to be is the fundamental aspect of a rebrand, right? Sometimes brands need to update that and be in sync with the times and keep evolving with their customers, which is absolutely fine. But I think the center of it is truly around authenticity. So one of the things we do when we work with a lot of sort of multinational or even local Indonesian brands for that matter, is we go back to the history of the brand and understand what is the founding mythology, right? Like when the founder created the brand first, like what was it really about? So we were lucky enough to work on the Gojek brand before it became as big as it is today. And honestly, the founding legend there is that, Nadeem used to not take his own company given car, but actually travel in Ojeks. And every time he would do that, he would genuinely spend time understanding the issues that these Ojek drivers face. And that's how the genesis of Gojek came about, right? It was to genuinely create positive impact in the lives of customers in the lives of these Ojek drivers. So I think you want to go back and look into that sort of authenticity and that kernel of authentic, impact that the brand was looking to create, and build that into the overall marketing messaging for sure.
I mean, consumers are smart nowadays. They can smell lies from miles away. So you need to be original and authentic.
You need strong brand, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Many years ago, sorry if I may, many years ago, David Ogilvy had this quote, right, where he said, "The consumer is not a moron; she is your wife." So like they know, people know. We have a genuine inbuilt sort of way of looking at authenticity and understanding when a company is being authentic and when it's just pulling the wool over our eyes.
Right, Amrish, of course you've been through several projects and you've seen some successful and failed rebranding efforts as well. Can you tell us some examples of it, like successful ones and failed ones?
Yeah, I think the successful one, you probably hear more of the successful ones than the failed ones, honestly. Some of the most successful ones that come to my mind are, for example, Airbnb. And again, right, the reason why it's so successful is how authentic it has been. So, they created their logo, which was the bellow, and like when you, for example, look at the the Meta brand identity and the Airbnb brand identity, right? Like the Meta brand identity seems kind of generic, the name feels a bit generic, but Airbnb feels truly authentic. And the
Yeah.
first thing they did when they launched their logo was like, hey, guys, play with it, make fun of it, do what you
Yeah.
want with it. It was a genuine understanding of we're trying to create a community, we're trying to create belonging, and the way to do that is to make sure that the brand is a part of it as opposed to a corporate entity. It's really engaging, and I think one of the things that they've done really, really well is to live up to the principles of the brand, and that's why it's so successful as well.
Right.
Even during the pandemic, when they had to let people go, the first thing they did was they created a database of the people they were letting it go and shared it with the world to say there's great talent here. Unfortunately, we can't keep them within the company. So the brand was really living the principles of belonging, and the way there was an outpouring of even the people who were asked to leave were just really positive and truly in line with the brand. So yeah, I think that's a great example. And honestly, to look at any failed examples, just think of some merger brandings, and you'll find a lot of failed examples there. Primarily because if the merger isn't coming from a place of genuine growth and opportunities for both businesses, then it's very tough to convince the customer that it is. So there are many of those examples around.
Ambrish, one last question. I'm curious. I mean, coming up with a concept is one thing, but executing it and putting it into fruition is another. How do you tell companies to put your concept into life?
Yeah, it's it's what we do every day. Honestly, we're very, very lucky, particularly in Southeast Asia. So Super Union is of course a global brand, but I lead the Southeast Asia business, and there is really so much change and so much opportunity in Southeast Asia at the moment. And you see literally millions of lives being impacted positively by technology.
Yeah.
So we get to capture all of that. We're kind of the unicorn agency where we work with at least 7 or 8 out of the 12 or 15 unicorns in Southeast Asia. And every time it comes from a genuine need. So we look for two things in clients. We look for a real sense of business growth and ambition in what they believe in, and the second thing is an understanding that the brand has a key role to play in reaching that ambition. So increasingly, you find lots of clients coming to us with that in mind, and a lot of the C-suite being involved in the branding activity as well. So that just shows that businesses understand how important it is to tell their story. So if you're starting from that base, then it becomes quite easy to sort of convince them. I guess the real challenge is to capture their story in the best possible way and bring out their best authentic self to the world. So that's what we focus a lot on. And from there, it just becomes easy when it connects with the C-suite, when it connects with the rest of the company. You can see people going, actually, you know what? That's what I want to be. Of course, I want to be that. So yeah, so we spend a lot of time getting to that space.
I see it's the power of branding, right? The power of logo itself. Thank you so much, Ambrish, for sharing your insights with us. We hope for the best for you. Stay safe. Thank you for the talk.
Brilliant. Thank you for having me. Terima kasih.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, so we get that a brand is very important and branding is very important for one company. As a matter of fact, I just searched a logo of Apple from back when they were born.
Is that a literal apple?
Yes, this is their first Apple logo before we see the one that is very simple right now. See? It's the evolution of logo, evolution of branding itself. So
no wonder they changed their logo to what we know now.
Because it's very
everywhere.
complicated,
It's very
right?
complicated. It's an apple tree.
It's an apple tree with, I believe this is,
Isaac
it's
Newton?
about Isaac Newton,
Isaac
about
Newton?
gravity, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Amazing. Shanas, what do you think of the See Today brand?
I think
Let's
it's
not
great.
answer that.
I think it's great.
It's amazing.
Because it shows that this is this is actually like the ocean, right?
Yeah.
You kind of feel like the sea is coming at you.
Yeah, I mean, it's very simple. It's very, you can very remember it.
Very 2021.
You want to take it away?
Okay. Okay, after this, we will talk more, and not about brands, but about more news coming up right at true. So stay tuned with us only on the C Morning Show.